Absolutely. Here's an introduction inspired by the spirit and tone of Maya Angelou's powerful, uplifting style. There comes a time in every woman's life when she must stand tall like a mighty oak in the storm, roots digging deep into the earth, unwavering and strong. When faced with a husband whose love twists and turns into something that drains the light from your soul, you must remember that your spirit is unbreakable. You carry within you a fire that no shadow can snuff out. This journey is not about surrendering or shrinking away. It is about rising fiercely and boldly, reclaiming the space that is rightfully yours. Protection is not just a shield, but a declaration that you honor your worth, your voice, and your right to live in peace and dignity. Today, we walk together toward that place of strength, resilience, and freedom. In the quiet moments when the world is still and your heart listens deeply, you begin to sense something is not quite right. A feeling, a whisper beneath the surface, tells you that the love you once believed in has become a shadow, twisting and turning in ways you never imagined. To protect yourself, the first step is to truly recognize the signs that the man who vowed to cherish you may be wrapped in the cloak of narcissism, a presence that dims the light you carry within. This is no small task, for narcissism does not wear its face boldly. It hides behind charm, behind a smile that seems too bright, behind words that sound like honey but carry the sting of venom. At first, it may feel like admiration, an intense focus on your beauty or your achievements. But slowly, you notice the pattern beneath, the constant need for attention that overshadows your own needs, the way your feelings are dismissed or twisted until you doubt your own truth. In the beginning, his words may seem like a gentle breeze, but soon they become a storm that chips away at your confidence. You find yourself walking on eggshells, carefully choosing what you say and do to avoid the eruption of anger or silent withdrawal. The love you knew starts to feel conditional, dependent on your ability to feed his endless hunger for validation and control. You watch as the mirror reflects a version of yourself that you do not recognize, quiet, hesitant, afraid to speak up. The narcissist's world revolves around his desires and perceptions, leaving little room for your dreams or your voice. Your accomplishments become tools for his pride. Your struggles become weaknesses to exploit. When you try to assert yourself, you are met with gaslighting, a cruel dance where reality is bent, and your mind is left questioning the very ground beneath your feet. Yet, within you is a quiet strength, a knowing that something deeper must be true. To recognize these signs is not to blame yourself or to fall into despair, but to awaken the warrior within who refuses to be invisible or silenced. It is to understand that narcissistic behavior is a mask for profound insecurity, a desperate need to control others to fill an inner void that will never be satisfied. You come to see the cycles, the charm that pulls you close, the devaluation that cuts you down, and the discard that leaves you shattered and searching for answers. This pattern may repeat like a song stuck on a loop, but each repetition is a call to your soul to listen more closely, to break free from the spell that binds you. Recognizing these signs means acknowledging the toll this has taken on your spirit, the exhaustion of constantly giving without receiving, the erosion of your self-worth, the loneliness that lives in a house full of noise but no true connection. It means naming the pain and the confusion, giving voice to the part of you that has been buried under layers of manipulation and false promises. But knowing is also a source of power. When you understand the nature of narcissistic behavior, you begin to reclaim your story. You see that his need to dominate and diminish is not a reflection of your value, but of his own brokenness. You learn that love is not control, that respect is not silence, and that true partnership honors the whole person, not just the reflection he desires. In this awakening, you find the courage to set boundaries, to protect your heart and mind from further erosion. You realize that self-protection is not selfishness, but an act of deep self, love, and respect. You begin to surround yourself with truths that nurture you, kindness, honesty, and authenticity. You also understand that this journey is not easy. The path of recognizing narcissistic abuse is lined with moments of doubt and fear, moments when the familiar pain feels safer than the unknown freedom. But within you, there is a quiet roar that says you are worth more than this pain, more than the roles he assigns you, whether as the perfect wife, the scapegoat, or the invisible woman. As you learn these signs, you also start to see the ways to protect yourself, not by fighting fire with fire, but by cultivating a sanctuary inside, a place where your soul can breathe and grow. You seek out the company of those who see you clearly and hold your truth without judgment. You nourish your mind with knowledge and your heart with compassion. Recognizing the signs is a gift you give yourself, the gift of clarity of vision. It allows you to step out of the fog of confusion and into the light of understanding. It prepares you to make choices that honor your safety, your peace, and your freedom. And it awakens the knowledge that no matter how tangled the web of narcissistic abuse may be, the roots of your spirit run deep, strong, and unyielding. To live freely is to know where you begin and where another ends, to draw lines not as walls but as sacred spaces where your soul may breathe and flourish. When you find yourself entwined with a man whose love is a cage, whose words cut like knives wrapped in silk, you must learn the art of setting boundaries, not as a punishment or a withdrawal, but as a declaration of your right to stand tall and whole. This act, simple yet profound, is the way to reclaim your emotional and mental well-being, to build a fortress around the garden of your spirit so that no one may trample upon its tender blooms. Boundaries are the invisible fences that protect the sanctity of your heart. They are the yeses and nos you say to others and to yourself, the respect you demand for your time, your energy, your feelings. Without them, you risk being swallowed whole by the endless demands of a narcissistic husband who sees your kindness as weakness, your generosity as a well to be drained dry. To set boundaries is to teach him that your soul is not a playground for manipulation or control, but a sovereign land rich with dignity and strength. You begin by recognizing your worth, knowing that you are deserving of respect, love, and peace. This knowledge plants the seeds of courage that will grow into firm, unwavering limits. It takes a steady heart to say no when everything inside you aches to say yes for the sake of keeping the peace. It takes a brave spirit to stand firm when his voice rises in anger, when his tactics seek to bend you back into submission. Yet in this courage lies your freedom, for boundaries are not about building walls, but about carving out space where your spirit can dance freely without fear or restraint. Boundaries may look like simple acts at first, a refusal to engage in a harmful argument, a moment of silence when the words become cruel, a step back from a conversation that drains your light, but these small acts are revolutionary. They ripple outwards, teaching your husband that your emotional world is not open territory for his conquest. They tell him that you have chosen yourself, your well-being, your peace above all else. You must also set boundaries within yourself, guarding your mind from the lies whispered repeatedly in the dark. The narcissist's voice can be relentless, echoing doubts and fears that threaten to uproot your sense of self. You learn to identify these thoughts as not your own but shadows cast by someone else's brokenness. With gentle strength, you refuse to feed them, replacing them with affirmations of your truth, your strength, your worth, your right to happiness. Setting boundaries is a practice of self-respect and self-care that demands patience and persistence. It is a daily reaffirmation that your needs matter, that your voice deserves to be heard. It may bring moments of loneliness or resistance, for not all will understand the lines you draw, especially when they challenge the old patterns of control. But you remember that boundaries are not walls to keep others out, but bridges to your own peace and sanity. In this process, you cultivate a sacred relationship with yourself. You listen deeply to your feelings, the hurt, the fear, the anger, and you honor them without shame. You give yourself permission to rest when the battle feels too heavy, to seek support when the road grows dark. You surround yourself with those who uplift you, who hold space for your healing without judgment or demand. Boundaries also become a language of love, not just love for yourself, but a lesson for those around you. They teach that love does not mean surrender or silence, but respect and kindness that nurture rather than diminish. They show your husband, whether he hears or not, that your spirit cannot be bargained with or broken. They reveal to the world that you are a woman who knows her worth and will no longer shrink to make others comfortable. There will be times when boundaries are tested, times when the past pulls at your resolve and the familiar patterns call you back into old roles. In those moments, you remind yourself that setting boundaries is an act of liberation, a reclaiming of your voice in a world that may have tried to silence it. You draw strength from the knowledge that every no you speak is a yes to your healing, every step back a step toward the life you deserve. As you stand firm in your boundaries, you become a beacon of strength, not just for yourself, but for others who watch silently, waiting for their own courage to rise. You model the possibility of a life where respect is non-negotiable, where emotional and mental well-being are cherished treasures. You remind the world that love without boundaries is not love at all, but a prison disguised in kindness. In this sacred practice, you come to understand that control over your emotional and mental well-being is not a gift given by others, but a birthright reclaimed by you. It is the quiet, unyielding power that lets you walk through the storm with your head held high, your heart guarded but open, your soul unshaken and alive. There is a profound truth whispered on the winds of every woman's journey: no one walks alone. Though the road may be rough and shadows may linger, the strength of a circle, of friends, family, and those who understand, can be the very light that guides you from despair into hope. When you face the trials of living with a narcissistic husband, whose love is a storm of confusion and control, building your support system is not just a strategy. It is an act of survival and a declaration of your worth. It begins with the understanding that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but a courageous reaching out of the soul. You are not meant to carry this burden silently in the corners of your heart, nor are you required to face the tempest alone. The ones who love you, those whose hearts beat in rhythm with yours, can be your refuge, your shelter from the storm. They hold pieces of your story, reflections of your truth, and they stand ready to catch you when the world threatens to fall away. Your support system may take many forms. It might be the sister who listens without judgment, the friend whose embrace is a balm to your weary spirit, or the parent whose faith in you never wavers. These are the voices that remind you of who you are beyond the pain and confusion. Their belief in your strength becomes a mirror in which you see your own light again. Reaching out to them, sharing your story, is like planting seeds in fertile soil. With their love and understanding, those seeds grow into a mighty tree of resilience. But sometimes the circle of family and friends may not be enough. Or perhaps it is tangled in complexities that make trust difficult. This is when the courage to seek professional help becomes a vital step. To find those who have dedicated their lives to healing the broken, to untangling the knots of emotional abuse, is to reach for a lifeline that can steady you when your own footing falters. Therapists, counselors, support groups. They are the guides who hold lanterns in the dark, illuminating paths you may not have seen before. The journey toward building this support system is also a journey toward reclaiming your voice. It is in these safe spaces that you can speak your truth without fear, where your experiences are validated and your emotions honored. This is where the weight of silence begins to lift, replaced by the power of connection and understanding. Each conversation becomes a brick laid in the foundation of your healing, each shared tear a cleansing rain that nourishes your soul. To build a support system is to weave a tapestry of strength from threads of vulnerability. It requires humility to ask for help, bravery to trust again, and patience to find the right hearts that will hold yours gently. You may stumble along the way, encountering those who do not understand, or moments when your own fear tries to pull you back into isolation. But every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory, a declaration that you will not be defined by pain or silence. As you gather your circle, you also learn to protect it fiercely. You become the guardian of your own sanctuary, discerning who nourishes your spirit and who depletes it. You surround yourself with those who lift you higher, who see your brilliance even when you forget it yourself. This sacred network becomes a shield against the loneliness and manipulation that narcissistic abuse tries to impose. Within this web of support, you rediscover your strength not just as a lone warrior, but as a beloved sister, daughter, friend, and survivor. You find solace in shared stories and hope in collective wisdom. The healing that blossoms here is not linear or swift, but steady and sure, a testament to the power of community and love. And so, the courage to seek help becomes an act of profound self-respect. It is saying to yourself and to the world that your life, your peace, your healing are worth every effort. It is a step away from isolation and into the warm embrace of connection. It is the knowing that while the journey may be yours to walk, there is a fire that burns quietly within every woman, a flame waiting to be kindled into a radiant blaze. It is the fire of confidence, of self-worth, a power so deep and vast that no shadow can ever truly extinguish it. When you have lived in the presence of a narcissistic husband, one whose words diminish and whose gaze erases, you may have forgotten this fire, or worse, been made to believe it never existed. But I tell you now, it is still there, waiting patiently for you to reclaim it, to rise and shine in the fullness of your being. Empowerment begins with the gentle awakening of your soul to the truth of who you are. You are not the reflection twisted by his manipulations or the whispers of doubt he cast into your mind. You are a whole, radiant being, deserving of love, respect, and kindness, first and foremost from yourself. To reclaim your confidence is to step into the mirror and see not the scars or the broken pieces, but the warrior, the survivor, the woman who refused to be silenced. This journey of reclaiming self-worth is neither simple nor swift. It is a slow unfolding like the blooming of a lotus in muddy waters. It requires patience with yourself and a willingness to confront the lies that have been woven into your identity. But each step you take towards self-love is a rebellion against the narrative that sought to keep you small. It is a declaration that your value is not measured by his approval or the roles imposed upon you, but by the very essence of your soul. Confidence grows in the soil of self-awareness. You begin to listen to the quiet voice within the one that knows your dreams, your desires, your truth. You nurture this voice by silencing the noise of criticism and doubt, replacing it with affirmations of your strength and worth. You remind yourself daily that you are enough, not because of what you do or how you look, but simply because you are. This is the foundation of empowerment, a truth that no one can take from you unless you allow it. To reclaim your confidence, you must also forgive yourself for the times you doubted or stayed silent. Forgiveness is not weakness, but a powerful act of liberation. It frees you from the chains of guilt and shame that narcissistic abuse often leaves behind. It is a tender embrace that tells your heart it is okay to heal, to grow, and to move forward with grace and courage. Empowerment is found in setting boundaries that honor your worth, in speaking your truth even when your voice shakes, and in choosing yourself when it feels easier to give in. It is in the small victories, the moments you stand up for your needs, the times you protect your peace, the days you refuse to carry the weight of another's insecurities. Each act is a brick laid in the strong foundation of your renewed self-respect. Surrounding yourself with those who celebrate your worth is another powerful step. The voices of friends, family, and mentors who see your brilliance can help reflect back the light you sometimes cannot see. Their belief in you becomes a balm for your spirit and a reminder that you are never alone on this path. Together, you weave a tapestry of support that strengthens your resolve and lifts your heart. Empowerment also means embracing your passions and talents, rediscovering what makes your soul sing. It is the joy found in creativity, in learning, in the simple pleasures that remind you of life's beauty beyond pain. When you nurture these parts of yourself, you reclaim not only confidence, but a sense of purpose and joy that no one can take away. There will be days when doubt creeps in, when the old voices try to reclaim their power. On those days, you gather your courage like a shield and remind yourself of all you have overcome. You remember that your past does not define you, that you are the author of your story, and that each chapter can be written with strength and hope. Reclaiming your self-worth is also an act of grace toward others, for when you stand firmly in your power, you teach those around you to honor and respect you. You become a living testament to the truth that no one can diminish the light of a woman who knows her value. Your confidence becomes a beacon, inspiring others to seek their own strength and healing. In this sacred reclaiming, you discover that empowerment is not about perfection or the absence of fear, but about the willingness to rise again and again. It is the courage to stand tall, to speak your truth, to love yourself fiercely and without apology. It is the knowing deep in your bones that you are worthy of every good thing life has to offer, and that your spirit is unbreakable. As you walk this path, you carry with you a new song, a song of resilience, pride, and unshakable self-love. It is a melody that grows louder with each step, a celebration of the woman who has weathered the storm and emerged radiant, whole, and free. And now, standing at this crossroads, you carry within you a power that no one can steal, a light that shines through every shadow cast by doubt and pain. You have traveled the long road of recognition, boundary setting, seeking support, and reclaiming your worth. Each step was a testament to your courage, a proof of your spirit's resilience. Remember that healing is not a destination but a journey, one that you walk with grace and strength every single day. Hold fast to your truth, to the fire that burns bright in your soul. Let it guide you through the darkest nights and lift you higher than you ever dreamed possible. Know that protecting yourself is an act of love, not just for the woman you are today, but for the woman you are becoming. Your story is not defined by the shadows that tried to consume you, but by the brilliance with which you rise above them. You are worthy of peace, respect, and joy. You are a force of nature, unyielding, magnificent, and free. Step boldly into your power, knowing that the life you desire and deserve is waiting for you, just beyond the horizon. Your journey of self, love, and strength has only just begun.